I'll meet order at 7 o'clock.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call, everyone is here. Look at the 19th meeting minutes. 19th.
I hate to be nitpicky, but there were two things
Please.
that I noticed. One is that at the top of the second page is an and where it should be a to, I think. But also in the last paragraph, where we approved a contract, it doesn't say whose contract it was. Was that on purpose or was that an oversight?
Nope, that was for the town manager contract. So I'd insert for town manager after contract. And then at the top of the second page, substitute the word to for and.
Yep.
Normally approved.
To approve the treasurer's warrant.
Any other amendments? All right, is there a motion to accept the amended minutes?
So moved.
Thank you. Any further questions, discussion? All those in favor of that? 5-0, thank you. Consent agenda. Any 11th hour, James?
No, 11th hour.
You had mentioned something in the hallway to me about surplus warrant article.
That'll be heard under budget votes.
Okay, you take it. No 11th hour, thank you. Any other changes or additions to the agenda at this time? All right, is there a motion to accept the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second.
And 15 and 16, we need those, James? Executive session?
Yes.
All right, all those in favor of the amended agenda? 5-0. Open to the public, first time around. Folks can call in at 930-8189 for the second time around.
Just a procedural question.
Yeah, if you just state your name real quick.
My name is Dorothy Alling. I live in Searsport, and I want to know if during the public session do we address number 8 under new business now, or do we wait until that comes up and then we can talk to you?
I'll call on you when we get to that point.
Okay, thank you.
Any other open, yes, ma'am.
Hi, Suzanne Farley with, I live here in Searsport. I wanted to talk to you guys tonight about an important public health issue that I think should concern all of us across the state of Maine as well as here in Waldo County. I'm sure you've all seen the news and heard the comments from our governor about the rising number of people who are addicted to opiates and in particular to heroin. 3 years ago I left Searsport to work in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where I worked until last spring with families who were in the child welfare system and at risk of permanently losing custody of their children. My organization served families in Rio Arriba County, which is a place noted for its independent people who have a strong cultural tie to the land. It's a place noted for its rich valleys and its small villages with generations of family members living there. They're people who had strong ties to traditional lifestyles of sheep raising, farming, and weaving rugs. They have a proud heritage towards their ancestors who in this instance were from Spain. And Rio Arriba County is also renowned for its high heroin addiction rates. It has very high incidence of domestic violence, gang-related deaths, and shootings. It's a community about the size of Waldo County with about 35,000 people, equally rural, just like Waldo County. The number of children in the child welfare system is noteworthy on several points. When I left last April, the percentage of babies coming in, the total number of children coming into the child welfare system exceeded 50%. Most of those babies were drug affected, born addicted to heroin. Their families, many of them were generational heroin addicts. I worry a lot about Maine and its noteworthy poverty rates. I worry about Waldo County for the same reason. And so for that reason, I want to invite all of you, our leaders of our town, to attend a community forum on the opiate addiction, the prescription opiate addiction and heroin rates here in Waldo County. These forums are being held across the state of Maine. The one here in Waldo County is held on February 10th. It'll be at Troy Howard School, and there's information there for you to register. Really would like to encourage all of you to go. This is a chance to speak about your own experiences, your ideas you have about helping our communities to be stronger, to be more resilient, and to ensure that everyone in our community has a chance to grow up healthy and to thrive. This is an important issue, and the meeting's being convened by many organizations, including Healthy Waldo, Maine, the Belfast Police Department, the Building Communities for Children. These are agencies across our county that are very concerned, and I think all of our leaders should be as well. So I hope to see you there, February 10th.
have extras?
Yeah, February 10th in the evening from 6 to 8 p.m. at Troy Howard. You'll need to register ahead of time, and that information is in your handouts.
Thank you, Suzanne, very
Yeah,
much.
sure. Thank you.
Dick, do you have a question?
No, I'm trying
Trying to
to
get
get
in.
the right number.
I'm
Okay.
pass that enough, sorry.
All right. Thank you very much. Any other open public this time around? No? Okay, so we'll move on to business. Old business, 7A Water District Trustee Appointment. We had tabled the application we had received for Bill Shorey at our last meeting. And it looks like we don't have any other applicants.
Not at this point, and no comments.
Right, is there a motion?
I move that we nominate him to appoint him.
Second.
All right, so is that a 3-year term, James?
Yes.
Moved and seconded by Meredith and Dick. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor of the appointment? 5-0, thank you. On to new business, 8A, petition for road acquisition. James, you want to just give us a quick update?
Sure. This is a petition received by the residents of Searsport, being, taken around by the residents of Spruce Knoll Lane and Troutbrook Lane. The
So what are
clerk
the 2 roads that we're talking
for
about?
the 2 roads in the
Spruce Knoll Road?
Lane.
Spruce Knoll Lane
Lane.
and Troutbrook Lane.
Trout Brook.
And the
Not Brook Trout, Trout Brook.
Troutbrook.
And there are brookies in it.
The petition has been
confusing me.
certified, and the petition's pretty simple. It's to see if the residents of the town of Searsport will accept ownership of Spruce Knoll Lane and Troutbrook Lane and begin maintenance and plowing. And one of the things that at least I had pointed out to the petitioners early on was the fact that it would require that the owner of the land, of the property, be willing to turn it over to the town, and I do have a letter signed by David W. St. Clair, the owner of the actual land that the road is on, agreeing to the transfer, if we vote on it, at no cost, the ownership of both of the properties.
Okay, so there's no issue with that.
Both of the road, the
Okay.
road properties.
Yes,
Because
yes.
technically the roads belong to the developer until the last parcel of subdivision land is sold. And this particular piece was done many years ago under a different manager who had issues with the developer, and I think there was clearly a personality conflict there between the two of them, so it was never inspected, but the folks have been on it for 15 plus years.
12, 13 years.
Yeah, 13 years. And, anyway, they're here to speak on their own behalf with the proper amount of signatures, and the timing is right to put it on the warrant if the board chooses to do that.
Is Dorothy, are you speaking on behalf of the petitioners?
I would speak, and any of the petitioners are welcome to speak
Anything you'd
too.
like to say?
Yes.
Good.
Well, Ryan's Pass was approved by the town Searsport Planning Board in 2001. The roads were built to the town Searsport specifications, which were supposed to be equal to or exceeding those of the town roads at that time. David St. Clair, the developer of the subdivision, maintained the winter maintenance of the roads from 2004 to 2007. When St. Clair stopped that maintenance and requested fees from the homeowners, they were doubled what the Searsport contractors were charging. So St. Clair, the reason for it was he lives in Liberty, his equipment and trucks come from Liberty, and gas prices were also very high at the time. So 7 of us homeowners were assuming the maintenance of that at it's up to $200 each now per winter. We believe that there's a negative impact on our property values and sales. Any homes sold there's only been 2 have been sold below the market value. And although all 15 lots in the development were sold, there are still 8 empty lots, 6 of which are up for sale. The other 2 lots were extra lots bought by the present homeowners there. We pay high taxes in Searsport, and you hear that from everyone. I haven't been to one meeting here where everybody didn't say that. Well, 2 years ago, when we last checked, the town was earning over $31,000 from these 7 homes and 8 other property lots. However, since then, the taxes have been steadily climbing, so we're way beyond that price. We have no preschool kids, nor are there any school-age kids living in Ryan's Pass, so we're not using any of those facilities. The homeowners are caught in this position between the town and the developer, and now David and Sandra St. Clair have signed a letter last year to give title to these roads over to the town at no cost. We have been very fortunate to have the people in the town offices in James Gilway providing us with the guidance and necessary steps to get us out of this situation. And we did get the necessary signatures to place this issue on the town resolutions for hearing at our upcoming meeting in March. We're here tonight to formally request from this board that you approve of this request and it be on the town for the resolution to take over these roads. And I thank you very much for this ongoing problem. We bought here specifically because it wasn't a development. It did have deed restrictions. It was in an area that we assumed we would love to be here. And we still love to be here. But the road situation, we're caught in the middle. And now we finally see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Thank you. Anything you want to add, James?
No, I have nothing to add. I do not have any documentation because, like you say, there was a personality conflict when the roads were built of any sort of inspections that were done. And a number of years ago, probably at least 8 to 10 years ago, I could dig it out of my file, I did send a letter to Mr. St. Clair urging him to produce any documentation that he had or to reach out to an engineer who could certify for us that the road was built to the subdivision standard at the time, and I did not receive any correspondence back. So I, at that point, and again it was at the urging of residents, I kind of waited on the situation. A letter was sent and no reply, but there are some ongoing or some needs for repair up there, I believe, even now. So it is a bit of an uphill battle, but you know, I think it's the right thing to do to put it on the warrant and have the folks get a vote at it.
Okay, so one thing I need to know at this point is, have we certified the
Yes.
signatures, everything's in order?
Yes.
Are any other questions or thoughts from the board at this point?
There never was any test boring.
No.
No, they never did.
Right. So they have to figure out the signatures. It goes on the warrant.
Correct.
It's not a question
Yeah.
of if we want it or we don't want it. It goes on the warrant. You've met the claim.
Yep.
Yeah, the only way it wouldn't is if the language was unclear or illegal, and which neither is true with this. It'd be pretty straightforward.
Any
Don't
other-
we vote on it anyway?
Yeah, we'll have to accept a motion to accept the petition that they show in the warrant.
Are the roads paved or are they?
They're paved,
Okay.
Not all of
except
them. Yeah, not all of
No,
them.
not all of
the
it.
one between the circle up on Troutbeck Road over to the second egress is Sandy Hill Lane, Sandy Lane. That road was supposed to be paved. And St. Clair had 5 years to pave that road, and the town held the bond so that it would be paved. At the end of the 5 years, that road had not been paved, and the town manager back then gave the money back to him. And it was never paved. Now,
The two roads we're dealing with, though,
pardon?
the two roads we're dealing with, Spruce Knoll,
Yes.
Trout
It's
Brook.
just
Yes.
part of Trout Brook, it isn't.
This,
Say,
it's just between the it's an unnamed thing, it would probably be an extension.
no, it's a
It's still Trout
yeah.
Brook Lane, but that portion
the
was never
subdivision.
done.
In the
It's in the
subdivision.
subdivision. And just as an aside, there was an accident Memorial Day, about 4 or 5 years ago, in which there was a big accident between Sandy Lane and Trout Brook, and all traffic in the Memorial Day.
No,
for
but
about-
the track, you explained that the accident was down on Route 1.
Yes, there was an accident on Route 1 between those two roads. So
it
all
was.
traffic, Memorial Day, was diverted up over our place and through that gravel lane there and then down Sandy Lane. And we had 18-wheelers up there, we had the big gas trucks, we had everything and everybody going up through there. And we actually put a sign up with an arrow pointing that way because some people, seeing it wasn't paved, turned around and went back out down. So there is the two egress, there is that little egress to go out to Sandy Lane, and quite frankly, with that one hill, a lot of times that's the way we go out in winter.
All right, any other questions or thoughts on the board before we vote to put this on the warrant? Okay, is there a motion to accept the petition and put the issue on the warrant?
So moved. Second.
Jack, Vic, thank you. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor? 5-0. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. We appreciate all your help, really.
Okay, 8B, we've got to clean up some old personal property statements here. James, you want to just briefly tell us what that
Yeah,
is?
the auditors completed their audit this week, and they're submitting that we abate the outstanding personal property accounts that are carried on the books from 2010 all the way back to 1998. As they report out, we can still attempt to collect debt. However, I will report out almost all of the businesses that are listed in these years. They not only don't exist, but I know personally most of the folks have moved out of town, out of the state. The total being carried on the books is around $5,000, and they would simply need a vote from 2010 to 2008 if you choose to do that.
Okay. Any questions? All right, is there a motion?
Is it 2008 or 1998?
I'm sorry,
1998.
2010 to 1998. right?
2010 back to 1998. We're carrying that. And in 98 and 99, there's only one person, and they're no longer in business either.
Yeah. So the auditors are looking for a vote to abate personal property taxes from 2010 to 98.
Correct.
1998. 80. Right.
Second.
It's moved. Doug is seconded. Questions, thoughts, comments? Save some pages in the town report.
Right.
All those in favor of that? 5-0. Right. Got some budget votes here, James. Everyone have their... Looks like the BAC did finish up the budget work.
They did. They will meet on Thursday to vote on the surplus article, of which I will, when we're done with the operating budget and the out-of-house accounts, I have another page to give you a recommendation for surplus.
Okay. So let's go through the department ones. We've done a few of these. I think we did several. And then we're going to go through the out-of-house accounts.
And
then we'll take up the
I can bring up a couple of articles that we missed when we were going through the normal operating budget. The first is historic preservation. Last year we had appropriated $1,150 to historic preservation. I've got them on your list. For some reason it didn't shoot up in Trio, so you never got to see it. But we caught it, and the Budget Advisory Committee voted that out at the same amount as last year. And the other is the Comprehensive Plan Committee. Last year we budgeted $12,000. We spent $8,000 and change. And the recommendation of the request, at least from the chair of the committee, was that we put at least $5,000 to wrap this up. And the Budget Advisory Committee voted that out. There was one other change that the Budget Advisory Committee did that is not in accord with what you did, and the BAC voted to reduce the general assistance amount from $25,000 to $20,000. And as I reported to them, I have no real problem with that. We are coming under that budget, and the thing about general assistance is if we get an inordinate amount, an anomalous amount, and we have to cover it, we can cover it without penalty, because general assistance and winter road maintenance are the two items that can go over without any penalty. The only other two items are at the very end. The Board of Selectmen talked about the creation of a reserve account to prepare for the 175th celebration of the town, and the BAC, I made them aware of it. We didn't come up, or you didn't come up with a number, and they thought $1,500 would be good. And the other item was the ambulance equipment reserve, which you did talk about, but again, didn't have a number to. The key to this is we do have funds that we've obligated for the defibrillator, which we did middle of the year. And at this point, there's no funding mechanism to do that out of. And that's about $6,000 a year. So we're recommending a new reserve account for equipment reserve only, because in years past, I believe boards and managers probably used the money out of the ambulance reserve for vehicles, and that just isn't the appropriate place to do that from. So in our discussions earlier in this last year, one of the discussions was to bring up a new reserve account, because the equipment within the ambulance is extremely expensive, as we saw from a defibrillator that went bad. This would allow us to pay off that defibrillator in the time frame that we've financed it for, and add $500 a year toward whatever the next big equipment item is for within the ambulance.
Okay.
And that's it.
One of the changes I'm seeing here between our recommendation and the BAC's. So, unless someone objects, I'm just going to make a motion and just go through the numbers, and we'll vote at the end. Okay, by everybody? Or? We can talk about something individually, but. Alright, so, I make a motion that we recommend $16,650 for Harbor Master, $111,163 for the transfer station, $20,100 for physical plant, $2,000 for the septic contract, okay. $20,000 for general assistance,
You have two figures, you have a 20 and a 25 on a general assistance.
Yes,
He's moving the 20.
moving to 20.
Moving to 20.
Okay. Does anyone have an objection to that?
No.
Okay, we'll discuss that separately. $21,355 for recreation, $79,029 for library, $3,300 for planning board, $600 for economic development, $31,254 for code enforcement, $100 for board of appeals, health officer $969, $4,500 for Mosman Park, $4,000 even for holiday events, $200 for holiday decorations, $1,150 for historic preservation, the BAC number, $5,000 for the comprehensive plan, $28,867 for video, $4,000 for road GIS, $10,000 for ambulance reserve, $20,000 for public works reserve, $175,000 for road reserve, $30,000 for fire equipment reserve, $10,000 for public safety building reserve, $8,000 for police department cruiser reserve, $2,500 for wharf reserve, $1,000 for sidewalk reserve, $1,000 for property revaluation reserve, $2,000 for library reserve, $500 for cemetery reserve, $5,000 for building reserve account, $500 from the town computer reserve, $1,000 for the transfer station reserve, and then $1,500 for the 175th celebration account, and $6,500 for the ambulance equipment reserve. Is there a second? Okay. Any questions or discussion or anything?
Yes, but why do we continue to put money in the economic development department? They haven't met in years.
There's an ongoing fee requirement. We're part of the Mid-Coast Chamber of Commerce, and I believe we also pay for the ability to have brochures at the visitor centers.
Okay, yeah.
And that's why that's trimmed down. At one point, I think there's like $4,000 years ago in that account. But since it's become inactive, we've gone down to the bare bones of it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Alright, Jack, second. All those in favor? 5-0. I'm gonna move on to the out-of-house account at this point. So what I'll do is I'll read off what's been requested, what the BAC is recommended, and then I'll ask for a motion for a number. There's the appropriation for last year if anyone's interested, but it's right there. Alright, we'll start with the Searsport Historical Society. The request is for 5,000, the BSC is recommending 5,000. What's the motion?
Make a motion, we go with 4,000.
There's a motion for 4,000, is there a second on that? Motion gets for second, is there a motion? For five, right, is there a motion for another number?
5,000.
Right, there's a motion for 5,000, is there a second?
Second.
Discussion on that?
Yes.
Dick?
Meredith and I stayed to listen to the out-of-house accounts. And Karen had information in front of her, and I guess she had got one price on starting the repairs that it needed over there, but she was looking at 2 more. So there's flexibility there. That's why I'm in favor of 4,000 versus 5,000, because like last year, she came up with much better figures after they had a chance to break it down. And you look at everything, and I think she was in the same situation, so it's a possibility she may not need a full 5. That's why I'm recommending 4. I don't want to see these out-of-house accounts get out of control, but I want them to have enough money to do what they gotta do too.
Okay, fair enough. Any further discussion on any point? Alright, the motion is 5 and it's been seconded. All those in favor of that figure? All those opposed? And I'll abstain. 3-1-1. Next is the Wall Community Action Partners. They requested 12,335, and that's what the BSC has recommended. What's the motion?
Move that we approve the 12,335, or 12,335, excuse me.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
Alright, discussion. All those in favor of that figure? 4-0-1, no abstain. New Hope for Women. They've asked for 1325, and that's what the BAC has recommended. Is there a motion?
Move
So
that we-
what was the original request?
That is the
1325.
original request.
Okay. I mean, the request for last year, what did we give them last year?
Right there.
Figures?
It's their 1325.
Okay.
Yeah, it's right on the left, 2015
Okay, I
appropriations.
see it, I got it. Because it was,
Is there a motion on that?
Move that we recommend the 1325 again.
Moved, is there a second?
second.
You did. Discussion. All those in favor of that figure, 1325? 4-0-1, I'll abstain. Sexual Assault Support Service. There's a request for 1,000, that's what PSC has recommended. What is the motion?
Motion for 1,000. Second.
Moved and seconded for 1,000, discussion. All those in favor of that figure? 4-0-1, I'll abstain. All County YMCA, 1,500 is the request, and that's the recommendation from the BAC. What is the motion?
Move that we approve the 1,500.
Second.
Moved and seconded, 1,500, discussion. All those in favor of that? 4-0-1, I'll abstain. Pine Tree Chapter, American Red Cross, recommended, requested 600, BAC recommended 0. It's my understanding they didn't.
No one attended the meeting, and the BAC asked that I add language, and you'll see it with the asterisk. No one attended the informational meeting.
Right, that's coming.
And that's in 2 different locations, because the Boulder County Woodshed also sent no
That's
representatives.
right, that's how it appeared.
So they voted 0 on that premise, and it was 14-1 to 0.
No, the last couple of years, I've been fighting in favor of them because, you know, if the fire department runs into a situation where they've got a family that they've got to take care of, they pick up the phone and the Red Cross is here, but still the Red Cross supposedly has been sent a letter and they know the procedure and they haven't shown, so I'm in favor of going with the 0.
And they promised to be here this year and just simply
They did.
weren't.
So is that the motion, Dick?
That's a motion to 0.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor of 0 as a recommendation? 2, 3, all opposed? 3-1-1, I'll abstain. 0. Spectrum Generation, 800 is the request, and that's the recommendation. What is the motion?
I'll make. Go ahead. Okay, I'll make a motion to go with the $800. Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor of that? 4-0-1, abstain. Hospice Volunteers of Waldo County, 1,500 is the request, and that is the recommendation.
I recommend that, I move the $1,500.
Moved. Is it seconded?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? All those in favor of that? 401, abstain. Searsport Beautification Committee, 500 is the recommendation, as is the request. What is the,
I move for $500 for the beautification committee.
moved and
Seconded.
seconded. Discussion? All those in favor of that figure? Got it. Oh,
Abstain.
okay, so 302 abstain. Swan Lake Association, 1,000 is requested, and that is the recommendation. What is the motion?
Make a motion for the approval of $750, same figure as last year.
Second.
Aaron, what was the agency?
Swan Lake Association, I'm sorry. It's moved and seconded for 750. Discussion on that? All those in favor of that? 4-0 abstain, 750. Midcoast Maine Community Action, 1,000 is the request, as is the recommendation from the BAC. What is the motion?
Make a motion for 500, same as last year.
Second.
So we'll make it 500 as this, the appropriation. And second. Discussion? All those in favor of that figure? 401 is the, with me abstaining. Maine Youth Alliance, New Strategies for Youth, Greenloft. It's requested 1,000 and the BSC has recommended 500.
I move 500.
500 is the motion, it's been seconded. Discussion? All those in favor of that figure? 401 abstain. Broadreach. It's been requested at 2,000, recommended at 1,000. Is there a motion?
Make a motion, we recommend 1,000.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? All those in favor of 1,000? 401 abstain. Friends of Sears Island recommend 1,500, and that is the request. That is the recommendation from BAC. Is there a motion?
I recommend the 1,500.
Second.
And seconded. Discussion? All those in favor of that? 401 abstain. Habitat for Humanity recommended 1,000. BAC is recommending 1,000. Excuse me, they requested 1,000, recommending 1,000. What's the motion?
I recommend 1,000.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
Discussion?
I'd like to amend it back to 500, as we have not allowed doubling of any of these.
Okay. Let's see what the vote says. Discussion? All those in favor of 1,000? Opposed? Alright, the motion fails for majority.
I make a motion that we grant 500 to Habitat for Humanity.
500 is a motion, is there a second?
This is still Article 33?
Yes, so the motions for 500. Is there a second on that?
Yeah, second.
Alright, discussion on that? All those in favor of 500? Opposed? 3-1-1, 500. Waldo County Woodshed, 500 is a request, BAC is recommending 0.
I recommend 0.
Second.
There's no one attended. Discussion on that? All those in favor of 0? 4-0 abstain.
Only because they didn't show.
Okay, and then the last thing I want to quickly discuss is the article for surplus. James, you want to just run us through the numbers real quick?
Yes, the auditors had at least completed enough of the audit to tell us a couple of things. We're in very good financial shape. Very few of our departments were over. I will report out the selectmen were over by $6.06, but not the lowest. The lowest was streetlights. I think we're over by $3. So we'll be bringing up an article in the next meeting for covering that with the contingency. Well, we ended the year with a surplus of $830,785.38. So the other thing that was good news for us was there was an unexpected income that was realized by the town to the tune of $20,000 from revenue sharing. Our amount for revenue sharing went up. That money should be turned into tax relief. No doubt about it, that's what it's intended for. I would advocate for nothing less. So in Article 35, what at least I'm recommending, and this is partly from the auditors would like to see us have $1 million in surplus. We have not had $1 million in surplus in quite a long time. We try to keep it, I'd like to keep it as high as we can get it, because the rule of thumb is to try to have 3 months worth of surplus when you go into the year. 3 months worth gets you through this period when there's no appreciable tax coming in. And you somewhat pay your bills until you get your tax anticipation note. Over the past 12 years, that we've gone down as far as $599,000, I think. Those years have been very difficult for us in that we have to go to our tax anticipation note from the banks much earlier. In fact, before town meeting. And that's not a good practice to be in. However, having said that, I want to make a recommendation for Article 35 to see if the board will authorize, the town will authorize the Board of Selectmen to appropriate up to $30,000 from surplus and $20,000 from the 2015 unexpected revenue sharing funds to fund the items within the 2016 municipal budget that would otherwise be raised by taxes.
Okay.
And that's your article, so if you want to change the number, the up to number, past 2 years we've had an up to number, I think, of $50,000, and there's been different recommendations for how much. I think the board last year was recommending $25,000. In both years, the town meeting voted 0, and we've moved ahead to grow our surplus. That's why, like I say, we went from 600,000 to 800,000.
So with 30 and 20,000, the recommendation would be 50.
Correct. Correct. Up to. The variable that's not, that I feel, and maybe we could split this into 2 articles if you'd like, but the variable that I think is not the number to go under is the 20,000. That's your bottom line number, and I think people would understand that clearly, that should go to
So do we need to reword the article up to 30,000 from surplus and no less than set of 4 on it?
Either way, if you did that,
Someone
the vote could
someone
be
says
no.
0.
Yeah, if the vote's no, then we're not using that $20,000 as it should be used.
Man, that
But
just doesn't do it.
it's the legislative body that decides that. So.
Right. All right, what's our job to bring up these issues and educate?
With this $30,000 figure, that would drop our surplus down to 800,000, right?
Are those beads of sweat forming on your forehead when you talk with them? Too little money?
But, it's been a long time to get back up there, because I remember when we were down below.
Yeah, I mean,
The
we have-
school payment out of it in 3 months, you're wiping out everything.
In very good years, before the real crunch of the recession, we used $200,000 of surplus to offset taxes. It was great times, but since then, a couple things have happened. You have tightened up the municipal budgets. There's not a lot of extra money at the end of the year, and we like this year. Our biggest hit this year was the fact that we had more fire calls and more ambulance calls. Historical number, I believe, in both, and that has an impact on budget. They were the 2 departments that went over by I'm going to call them significant. They were the winners. The fire department was over by $7,832, but again, that was and the ambulance actually, by the time they figured revenue and settled it, we were even on the ambulance. So, but fire department, because of the number of calls, and again, a record number of calls, they were over.
All right, I would suggest that we deal with this in 2 parts. That we first come to an agreement as to the language, and then we come to an agreement for motion as to the recommendation. Does that make sense? Since we're going to come to issues.
Okay.
But just I'm going to cut you off.
We have towns in this county that are into their towns real early. They're the last, several warnings to pay their taxes for the county. Dave Parkman, when he took over as treasurer, I don't know how many years he's been there, he's been there as long as I've been there and beyond that. And this is, he's not going any farther, he's not gonna run again. But when he became treasurer, he had to get a tan right away to make payment, the first right out the door. And now he's so glad that he can go into the year, because a lot of the towns are coming on board with paying up in time, and Searsport is one. But there are towns out in the county that have a hard time paying the county taxes, and the money they have sits in unpaid taxes, and you can't spend that.
All right, so let's take up the first issue, the language. If I'm outvoted, that's fine. I like to see, if we're going to recommend 50, the 30, and the 20, I'd like to see the both town meeting have as much choice and freedom as possible. So I would be in favor of an up to amount of, say, 50, so that's what we've done in the past. But with that being said, I'll accept the motion as to anything. We'll see what the numbers look like.
You're talking about combining, keeping the same.
No, what I'm
in
trying
one
is
article?
changing the current language here to appropriate up to 50,000 from surplus and 20 from unexpected revenue sharing funds, and then I'd recommend, or I vote to recommend 50 altogether. So if people want to do 80,
Oh, I see, because they
excuse me,
couldn't
70.
raise it unless.
Yeah, I want to
it
give them a
was
little,
in-
give them a little hard to see on. I mean, they've never, I've never seen an issue at town meeting. People are usually very fiscally conservative at town meetings with this issue, and I've always been in favor of let's see it as their money and let them decide what they want to do with it. But
Because the 20 though, there's no doubt by that.
yeah, but and if someone could recommend, it's going to take some discussion at town meeting to explain this. You know that. So I hope people at town meeting would at least do 20, since that's really what that money should do. But I would be in favor of giving the people at town meeting as much freedom as really possible.
You're putting them into one motion, or you want to separate? We want them to put that 20,000 into
Yes.
where it should go.
We're going to recommend, I think we're going to recommend what James is recommending here, which is 50.
Even if
30
you,
and 20.
even if you separate it, town meeting could vote no. So they're very much related.
Yeah, I'm not speaking
And if you separate them, you're just gonna have two votes for use of surplus funds or excess funds the same way.
There's no requirement for us to spend that $20,000 the way it was intended?
Well, some would argue yes, and some would argue no.
Not without town meeting vote, I think.
Yeah, I think the problem that we're up against is usually it's a given, and the auditors make the adjustment, and we don't have to deal with it, because our numbers are very close to what the state is giving out. But this year, there was excess revenue on the state, and the budget, when it finally came through,
Excess revenues.
there was extra revenue sharing projected in, or put into the state's budget, so, but when we
I
built
want
ours.
to clarify
we-
the excess revenue point you made. It really wasn't so much excess
No,
revenue.
it was excess, it was budgeted.
We underestimated how much.
We underestimated it because the budget changed in the final hours.
Okay, so what I'm suggesting, I'm not going to make a motion, I'm just putting it out there, and you guys can do what you want, is that we change the 30 to 50. The 30,000, 50,000, and everything, as far as the language of the article stays the same. I'd probably recommend not actually going up to 50, but if people at town meeting want to do that, then
So
it's...
then the total would be 70.
Total that they could go up to would be 70. The amount I'm going to vote to recommend would be just 50.
Is that a motion?
Sure, I'll make it a motion.
Second.
So there's a motion on the table to, what would be Article 35, I guess. Have a ceiling of up to 50,000 from surplus and then 20,000 from unexpected revenue.
And is the board recommending 30?
We haven't gotten to that point yet.
Okay, you
I'm
haven't gotten to
recommending.
that point.
I'm recommending 30. Okay. Discussion on that? All those in favor? I'm sorry, Jack. Were you going to say something?
Okay, so you're talking 50 plus 20.
Right.
Okay.
That's the ceiling.
All right.
All those in favor? All opposed? Is that an opposition? Affirmative. Which one is it?
It's a lukewarm. Yeah.
Okay, so 5-0 on that. Okay, so that's the article. All right, so what's the recommendation from the board? 50 or some other number?
I'd go with your original 30,000
I'm
for
going-
the board.
Yeah.
Well, the recommendation is going to be 30 plus 20.
So the indoor, yeah.
So that would be 50, right? That's how I'd read,
Yeah.
James, right?
Yeah.
If they want to override it, then feel free to do so.
Right, that's our recommendation.
Yeah.
So there's a motion, I'll take it from Dick, of 50,000, not the 70. Is there a second?
Second.
We got discussion on that. All those in favor? 5-0.
Karen, I'm really not clear on the second vote.
We recommended 50 total.
50 total.
Yeah, between the James, maybe we should do an asterisk on this, maybe? That we're recommending 50 total, 30,000 from surplus and 20,000.
I may need to break the lines up and say how it's, so
Obviously
it's clear, yeah. I'll make sure it's
I
clear.
thought you voted to rewrite the article
Up to
itself.
70, up to 50,000 for
Right.
surplus and 20,000, and we're recommending going below that.
You're recommending going below that. Okay.
Recommending 50,000 total, 30 from surplus, 20.
Okay, gotcha.
Should probably. get some
Maybe that
clarity.
should break down where we focus.
Yeah, I think we're gonna.
That would have to be spelled out, because otherwise it is confusing.
Yeah, our next thing we're taking up right now is
And
actually.
I have
workshop
one other
process.
question on the 20,000. You said the way in the audit that money does not go to surplus, right?
Correct,
It's
it's
out there.
unexpected income, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And
needs to be voted.
being revenue sharing, it should go towards tax relief. That's what the legislature designed it in 1973 to do. One of the arguments you always hear in Augusta was that towns don't do that. And I think it's important that we've always had a pretty good number, and this year it was just an unusual year that we were $20,000 below in our projection, and to a good side. I mean, and that money has to be designated.
Because it took so long to do the budget.
Yeah, I would agree.
All right, 8D, set workshop for town meeting warrant, discuss what it looks like. Probably take a look at how we're gonna break that apart, make it simple for people. So are we looking at a week from this Thursday, is that the
February 11th.
February 11th? Okay, is that an issue for anybody, is that okay? We would be 6:30 right here. Okay, I'll make a motion that we have workshop to discuss the warrant at 6:30 on February 11th at downstairs Union Hall.
Second.
Discussion on that. All those in favor?
I'm in favor.
You're in favor. 5-0, thank you. All right, no 11th hour, correspondence, James.
The first item in correspondence is a letter from the RSU 20 school unit. We were included in the bid for fuel for next year, and this is informing us that Tidewater was the winning bid, and the fixed price will be $1.429 a gallon, which is fairly low. The second item is from William Brewer, Certified Public Accounting. This is the final letter of audit, at least at completion of audit, they have to sign a letter with us saying that they've done what they set out to. You had a letter at the beginning, and now this is the final letter saying they fulfilled the obligation that you put them under.
Okay, thank you. Treasurer's warrant, I move we approve that pending our signatures. Second. Discussion, all those in favor of that? 5-0, town manager report, please.
In Public Works, we have not had any significant snow events in January. The crew has been out a few weekends, days, because of the slippery conditions, but nothing serious. The lack of snow has given the crew a lot of extra time to do maintenance work that we deferred last year. Our trucks are almost complete. I keep saying this every month. We were told last week that at least one of them will be delivered. It's going to paint, and it will be delivered at the end of this week. In wastewater, Howard and Bob are both doing well. We have completed the hiring process, and we offered a full-time position to a young man named Dan Smith. Dan is a certified wastewater operator, and he will be starting work on February 8th. The Carver Memorial Library staff is doing well, and everything there is running smoothly. The ambulance responded to 57 calls for service in January with 3 interfacility transfers and 2 paramedic intercepts. For other agencies, both ambulances are running well. The fire department responded to 16 calls for service and issued 3 burn permits. In code enforcement, Randy continues to work with applicants for building permits and with new and old complaints that have come in. The police department responded to 204 complaints for service during the month of January. The chief has been reelected as the chairman of the Walter County Communications Center. All the vehicles are running good. and we will be putting the old cruiser out for bid. It doesn't look like we have a sale on it. The recreation, no significant news to report. However, Carrie, Don Gerald, and I met last week and discussed the concert series that we want to reinvigorate in the park in 2016. In Town Hall, everyone in the office has been doing their part to get our paperwork in order for town report and annual town meeting. We feel the pressure because the meeting is early this year on March 5th. The auditors are here last week and have completed their on-site work. We made them aware of the short time frame before town meeting. They were happy. The committees, I have no significant news to report.
Is there a motion to accept the manager's report?
So moved.
Discussion? Those in favor of that? 5-0. Selectmen's reports. Jack, want to start us off this week?
Yeah. And I approached the last meeting there, any headway we make on this Heritage
Yes.
weekend where we both do. I met with head of the Bay Group last Thursday morning. Bangor Savings Bank has offered the use of some of their parking lot, BP, that weekend for displays or something like that. James and I are going to be meeting with 3 representatives from the Maine Museum Thursday afternoon. The gentleman approached me that morning down there at the head of the bay with an offer to supply coffee and donuts for the summit meeting. So everyone we've talked to so far have been really willing to work on this, and I think we're going to have something here, hopefully.
All right, great. Thank you for the update.
Do
Jack.
we
Any
have
questions?
a proposed date for this yet?
Well, that's something
We
that
worked
fellow and I
on
talked about yesterday.
we worked on a little bit, and Jack is doing some research at the Penobscot Marine Museum to see if there's a good date that we could correlate with one of the launching of one of the Searsport ships that were built here. We looked at National Maritime Day and World Maritime Day, but National Maritime Day is in May, which is way too soon, and World Maritime Day is too late in the season. So our sweet spot is to try to do it in the summer so that we can get the interest, because we are going to look at past, present, and future, and each one of those components has a lot of information to share, and anyone that doesn't know the history of Searsport, we're hopeful that Penobscot Marine Museum can take that for us. The current, we're going to talk to Dave Jelinas and some folks in the port and the Maine Port Authority and everyone that we can to bring in current conditions as in a summit. And then the future, what is being talked about, what's going to happen with the magnet school, where we're at the time that we get to meet. And so really, truly, past, present, future. And we do want to hit warmer weather, and when we can make it a tourist attraction as well.
Yeah.
It's good information for those that are here. Certainly want to hit a home run with that, but we also want to use it as a way to promote and bring people into town. And we're hopeful that it will fill up some of the local bed and breakfasts and motel and campground, we hope.
Just something that occurred to me when we were talking is just that it might be a good idea to see what's going on in Belfast in various weekends, because a lot of times what they do takes away from what we're doing here, but a lot of times if we coordinate it, people who come there would also come here.
Anything else, Jack?
No, that's about it, I think.
Thank you, Jack.
Thanks.
Meredith, thank you.
Nothing.
We do not have anything this evening. Doug?
Nothing tonight.
And Dick?
I've been asked by, I've heard it mentioned before, Community Matters More, Bangor Savings Bank, if you want to vote for Mosman Park, they certainly appreciate it. I guess if they get nominated, they get $1,000. If they win, they get $5,000. So you'll hear more on this, and all you gotta do is go into Bangor Savings Bank and make your vote right there.
You can do it online
You
too,
can do it online, yes, yeah.
We do this every year, right, I think?
What's that?
We do this at least once a year, right?
every year.
Yeah. Safe got it 1 year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where are they dropping these ballots off anyway?
Bangor Savings.
Yeah, just got it.
Or online, phone.
Yeah.
Anything else, Dick?
No, that's it.
Thank you very much. Open to the public, viewing public, no calls.
Sorry.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Janet Williams, Searsport. The police department always comes up with this number of calls that they have, and James just said they had 204. Is there any way of finding out what kind of calls these are? I mean, some would be definitely needing the police, but I expect a lot of them are for traffic reports or incidental things rather than serious police work. So is there any way of finding out how many of those are real police work?
We've requested that information from the police department from time to time, and they give it to us for a month and they don't do it anymore.
He always reports out in his report some of the statistics of the significant things that are going on.
I was looking, the reason I was wrestling pages here is that at least the last report, we get a report once a month, that we get approved at the last meeting, broke them down pretty good.
Yeah, I try not to go into the detail because I let the department heads give me writing.
Yeah.
He
But I
does
thi-
break them down in his report.
I think it'd be,
Thank you.
thank you.
We'll give you that. I think that's pretty normal, right? Yeah, he breaks it out. Yeah, so he breaks it out pretty good in those reports. What's that? Mrs. Allen?
Yeah, Dorothy Alling, Searsport. I'm also the head of the Historical Society, and I can answer your question on your comment. Rex went in with one of the people in town who's does building or carpentry or whatever, and that's how they discovered the problem, and where he estimated it would be about $5,000. One of the things with the two beams that need to be replaced and the sills and everything, all the electrical and plumbing need to be removed and to be put back on when that's all replaced. And that figure is not in that 5,000. And because the place was closed and winterized, Rex said he would not take anybody back there until the winter was over and we opened it up. And at that time, we're gonna have 2 more people come in and we're gonna have written quotes for you. So that's where it stands at this particular point. But he says that does not even include the moving of the electrical and plumbing. So that will give you an
I
idea.
remember her saying, Karen saying there was gonna be 2 more.
Yeah.
Had a couple more people come.
Yeah, we want to be able to have 3 figures when we start
It
this.
sounds like you got a lot of money going out on that building.
Yeah, we've got a lot, well, this was unexpected, and it's something apparently that may have been there from the beginning, we don't know. But the problem is we've put all this time and effort and volunteer hours in building and everybody on board and trying to keep the costs down and the maintenance and everything. Like we've now picked up plowing costs and mowing costs because Rex can't do that anymore. So it's there, and it's there for everybody to enjoy, and there's a lot of history in it, and we love the place, and we're all getting older. So,
Thank you for the clarification.
okay.
Thank you for the reminder.
Anywhere open to the public before we
Sorry
move to
about that.
executive session at this point? Okay. At 7:58, I will move that we exit our regular session and into executive session in accordance with RSA 456F, confidential records discussing general system. There's a second. All those in favor of that? 5-0. Thanks, folks. Executive session into regular session 8:15. Is there a second? Second, or do you want to say executive session on that? Okay.
Okay.
Doug, all those in favor? 5-0, back in the regular session. And as to decision from executive session, I'll make a motion that as to WP 1602, that we authorize up to $5,955 from the Jenny Lawrence Fund.
Second.
Thank you, Meredith. All those in favor of that? 5-0, and take a motion to adjourn. Second. All those in favor?
Yay.
Thanks, folks.